I understand you're a little upset about that, but you have to understand that, as I said to the audience and I said to you earlier, we allowed you to create this series as a vehicle to tell the public essentially what's going on. And while it is something that can be risky if we tell you too much, there are certain things that the audience could know that may speed up the timeline to where you reach the reality that we're actually in. So you have another question, I see. So you said before that ghosts are real, but they're actually alive. It's very interesting. Could you tell us about that? You know, sometimes when you ask these questions, you really put me in a rather tough, awkward, and peculiar situation. But as to the matter of ghost, think of some dimensions as a frequency, a shift in the reality, a shift in time, a slight difference in reality, a slight different wavelength. It could be a difference of dimensions and height and what have you. For example, a ghost that you call a ghost is not really a ghost. They're in a different dimension. And they go, a lot of what you thought was earthbound ghost, that's because they are allowed to travel from heaven or wherever they may be, and sometimes visit with the living, and sometimes, yeah, they do like to pull practical jokes. And unfortunately, there is an element of evil that still exists to a point before the great occurrence. So there are such things as demons and what have you, that every now and then they're able to break from their dimension into yours. But what you call ghosts are people who die, physically die in your reality, but death does not really exist. And after the great occurrence, yes, you die. Yes, you can go to the heaven. Yes, you can simultaneously stay alive being a clone. So it gets very existential, very complex, very complicated. But also, people on the other side, as you call it, are not necessarily what you would call deceased. They're on another dimension. For example, if you have ever seen a ghost or a spirit, and you notice that they seem to be floating, or they seem to be a half foot higher than you, or 3 feet higher than you, that's because they may actually be on a sidewalk in their dimension. And also, there's no scientific proof yet, as far as I know, with your scientist. But materials and atoms and antimatter and matter and what have you, there are ways for them to coexist. So, for example, what you would call ghost may be one of your relatives who's alive on the other side through this dimension, who is trying to communicate with you, but they can't because they are considered deceased. And sometimes they're able to break through into realities, have a, an opening, a portal. That's the best way to put it, a portal. And that's when you can sometimes communicate. But if you've noticed people that are ghosts seemingly higher than you, that's because the reality and their levels are about 3 feet higher. Now there's a great psychic in your time, well I won't say great psychic, but a psychic, and her letters are SB. And she learned a little bit about this 3-foot level also. It's something to explore. But yes, and by the way, heaven does have buildings. Heaven has palaces. Things that your mind cannot even really conceive of. So ghosts are actually real, but they are not really dead. That's the best way to put it. You did actually see a ghost back in 1999, although she was not really dead, but the portal and the window of time and space was open, and that's why you were able to physically communicate with the lady known as Margie. But for now, I'm going to take my leave and go back to my timeline. I think that you and the audience has had more than enough. We will delve into other areas in the future, including fun and entertainment, and what we do for entertainment, and where has entertainment and music and movies and television, where have they evolved to? I can only tell you a little bit. To give you too much could cause delays in the timeline. I can't tell you about the iPad 7. Can't tell you that. Well, actually, they're probably going to have to now change the name from the iPad 7 because I revealed that, and I'm sure you're going to let people know that. But yeah, well, let's just say there's a lot more going on than any of you know. And by the way, the company Apple, I'll give you this much. They still exist 100 years later. And they're going strong. Oh, much longer than that, by the way, but we won't go there. So for now, I just want to remind you something. Remember that you, humanity, and all forms of life matter. For a while, after your timeline and what have you. And I can't wait till I get my hair the way you have it. I really do have it in your timeline. That would be nice. Well, I'm kind of glad you come back essentially looking like me. Well, alright. Well, I'm going to get you this time. Remember that you and humanity and all forms of life matter. Got you! I got you! I finally got you.